this is a great use case for people to gain greater introspection and interoception. When used coercively, for example, in an educational setting or in a workplace where people are mandated to have their brain activity monitored, it becomes deeply problematic that this final frontier of privacy is one that people can't reclaim. The second ethical issue is the inclusivity of the data. A lot of the data sets that have been built until now in many ways are biased because they've excluded people of different skin colors, for example, or different hair types that interfere with the sensors. The result is that a lot of the data is skewed, and if the data is skewed and high stakes decisions like hiring and firing or workplace decisions are being made about individuals or about children in classrooms, that is also deeply concerning. And the last and deeply concerning area of ethical concern is the aggregation and the collection of this data, especially in a world in which most business models for major tech companies have been based on the aggregation of personal data in ways that allow them to gain insights about individuals, but also allow, for example, targeted advertisement, the use of kind of closed loop systems that change environments in response to people's data that could nudge them and coercively shift how they think and they feel. Brain data in particular, or cognitive biometrics, the broader class of data from eye tracking and other information, needs to, from my perspective, be kept on device and overwritten such that the raw data where discrimination or other types of concerns could arise are very limited and safeguarded by individuals through encryption and other on-device protections.
Great. Thank you, Anita. And I think you also go into depth in this in your book, which I quite enjoyed and would recommend to everyone who hasn't already had a chance to read that there.
Thank you.
I'd like to go to Amandeep Singh Gill next, the technology envoy for the United Nations. And you've been actively looking at the human rights around these issues. And what with what we've heard from Nita and the work that you've been doing, what are the essential frameworks to ensure that we protect the human rights of citizens while actually allowing them to gain the benefits that these technologies can provide?
Right. I want to start straight away by endorsing what Nita just said. I think there's a shift in the industry, very similar to what's happening with the AI industry. Most of the investments in the private sector, and technology is getting smart, but not smart enough, but it's being rushed to the market because the business opportunity is there. I use a variable. It still confuses light sleep and meditation. It's getting smarter, but it's not there with this wealth to be created. So people are rushing in, and corners are being cut. So that's worrying. And this brings me to this question about the frameworks that need to be applied. I think we have a very strong existing framework of international human rights law. And there are these core conventions, and they are fully applicable to this area as they are to other areas of technology. There is an ethical dimension to it, particularly at the early stages of innovation when it's not clear what kind of legal frameworks apply. And there, my colleagues in UNESCO are working on this issue in partnership with the Office of the High Commissioner on Human Rights in Geneva. In New York, the Secretary General is worried about the lack of effective implementation of these frameworks. There was a discussion a couple of years back within the UN system. Do we need new kind of human rights around this? I think the jury is still out. We decided that for practical purposes, we should double down on what exists and their effective implementation. Some countries are putting in place specific laws, but I think we need to speed up, and for that we need to rely on existing frameworks.
Okay. Thank you, Amandeep. I'd like to shift next to Gary Marcus, Professor Emeritus at New York University. You've been active in the cognitive science and technology fields for some time, and earlier we also were discussing around, once we start seeing the convergence of AI in neuroscience and what implications that has for future evolution in this space.